And it just, you cringe to think back on those times that like you were eating all of these gross plants that had active fighting chemicals, like you said, that are fighting against our health, tearing up my gut and making my joints ache, and all of these things that I was dealing with. It made everything worse. And so, yeah, it's such an interesting thought that not that like plants are neutral, but plants are actively bad for you and are causing harm. Okay, so again, going back to that time, your mind is kind of coming around to this idea. What things did you do to get prepared to start your own carnivore diet?
Um, I think once I decided to do it, I just did it. So I just jumped right in and started documenting it, because I was already showing up on social media with all the other food stuff I've done in like the past couple years. So I just jumped right in. And so there wasn't much preparation. I just started eating mainly beef, had lots of fatty meats, a lot of burger patties, steaks, like maybe half a cup to a cup of blueberries a day, or just maybe some other fruit, but very minimal, and a little drizzle of maple syrup and butter on a burger, which, oh my gosh, if I were to have like a quote unquote cheat meal, I think that's probably what I would have, because that was delicious. I actually miss that.
It's so good. So it sounds like you already had the taste for red meat. What I find with a lot of people who are starting carnivore is they don't exactly start off with a taste or a craving for red meat. Now I find that comes around very, very quickly in people, where if you're eating a lot of chicken and fish, that's maybe what you're doing in the beginning, but over time, maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months, you are going to start craving that red meat. For somebody who doesn't yet have the taste or palatability of the red meat, what would you say to that person? Where could they start?
Yeah, that's very true. And, I mean, you're right. You do come around. I mean, you see there's so many ex-vegans in the carnivore community. And I think that's, you know, it's such a fascinating story that they have. But yeah, you'll get there. Just eat whatever meat you want to have. Even if you're coming from vegan too, I would maybe even suggest a little slow transition, just so you're not like bombarding yourself. Maybe start out with some bone broth, then add in some meat. But yeah, I mean, we are all very heavy on the beef in the carnivore community, but there's nothing wrong with having other animals. So yeah, if you want some chicken, maybe if you're having breast, like you could have it plain or whatever, but I would add fat to things if you're having lean cuts, but also not stress about it in the beginning. It will all balance out eventually.
Yeah. Do you find that as you're helping people get started, do you find that one of the barriers to success is people that think they need to make it more complicated for themselves than they need to?
Yeah, I think they're overthinking it and they're trying to be maybe a little like not too creative in the kitchen, but like they're used to making recipes. Or now they're worried, like, should I also be fasting or should I be tracking my macros? And it's like, just keep it simple. Like you can adjust all that stuff as you go. Like just in the beginning, have some bacon and eggs for breakfast, have some burger patties with cheese if you like dairy for lunch, and have a steak for dinner. Like you don't need to complicate it at all. And you can make changes down the road, but yeah, just start off like don't be stressed out. There's so many things that you can tweak as you go on.
I love that. That's great advice. Were there any recipes that you were following in the beginning that now you no longer need because it's just so simple? You just throw some burger patties in an air fryer, eat it with some bacon or butter, and you're done. Like it's so easy. But were there any recipes in the beginning that you really enjoyed?
I mean, I did make a lot, but honestly, I was making it for everybody else because I was already sharing my food. I wanted to give people still like a little bit of like creative stuff. Like I don't think anybody would have wanted to see me eat burgers every day. So I did do some stuff like, meatballs that have like cheese and bacon in it or whatever, or I would make these cheese wraps. Where you bake the cheese and use them as a wrap and roll them up with things in. So I don't really eat those anymore. Or like chaffles, I don't eat anymore. So yeah, I mean, I did it for the gram. I did it for the people that needed that. Like I technically didn't need those recipes. I was content with burger patties and steaks, and I still am. But yeah, it's fun to throw something in once in a while. Like I love my carnivore-ish coffee ice cream or gnocchi with brown butter cream sauce. Like everything, I guess it like has a lot of dairy. I'm trying not to do dairy right now.
Well, no, that's great. And I think, again, that's really good, helpful advice for somebody that's just trying to get started. I was asked this in a podcast interview that I was just hosted on yesterday, and they asked me about the fat loss and the weight loss that comes along with carnivore diet. And I said, like, that's fun. That is really fun, and it's sexy, and it's great, and it's what people want. But that's not the reason that people do carnivore. You can lose weight doing lots of different things. There's other reasons that people do carnivore. And so I'm curious, what were your results for what you were seeking, which was, again, to lose weight? How did that go? And then what other things kind of surprised you?
Yeah, so I'm down 35 pounds and still have 20. So that's great. I mean, the weight loss came easy. I did stall the last few months. And I think because I went overboard on the dairy. So we're pulling that back. And yeah, like the benefits, I wasn't expecting those. And, a lot of people, this is the ultimate elimination diet. People aren't going on this. I mean, some are just to lose weight, like you said. Like people are turning to this because they have some major health issues or they have like autoimmune disease. Like I have a friend who was covered head to toe in psoriasis, like insane. And it's completely cleared up. And like Michaela Peterson, she like healed her juvenile arthritis. So it's really like people looking to heal. This isn't a fad diet, like people keep saying. Like this isn't a diet. Like, and diet to me, like that's not the right word. Like this is a lifestyle for people. Like this is how people are healing their bodies and improving, their mental health. And yeah, it's been life changing for me.
That's amazing. Well, you're a recent guest, one of my favorite humans on the planet, author of the book How to Eat Like a Human, Dr. Bill Schindler. He explains it really well. Like, why do we even have to ask the question, what is a species appropriate diet? We shouldn't even have to ask that question. But we are so far removed from where we're getting our food, and it doesn't match up with how we evolved. It's too quick. We've made too many fast changes, as he explained really well in the podcast episode you guys did with him. And I thought that was phenomenal. We have all this technology. We can Grubhub our food, anytime. We don't even need to leave the house to get food delivered to us. And it's terrible. And you're right. It's not a fad to go back to the way that we would have survived for millions of years.
Yeah, food these days, like it's besides what's in it, it's just, yeah, like that's gross. And just like the convenience of everything, that's not like being healthy. Yeah, like you said, very detached from where our food comes. Not many of us are even able to go like source from a local farm. So yeah, it's grocery store and fast food. And yeah, it's definitely not ideal. And people now think that this is the norm and this is how we should be eating. And you should be able to, or you should eat everything in moderation. And that's what a balanced diet is. And you have to eat that way to be normal. It's like, I have to poison myself to be considered normal. Like if you're a pusher of a balanced diet, then are you going and doing heroin on the weekends? Like don't do it on Monday, just a little bit. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's mind boggling.
So crazy. Okay, in the introduction, we talked about you obsessing about food, binging, and all of a sudden you've come to this diet that's the end of the road diet for you, which tells me at this point you found the last diet you might ever be on. So first of all, tell us how you think that you might be in that world, in that land of like, this might be the last thing I do for the rest of my life. And tell us a little bit about what it was like to, hopefully overcome some of those things, the binging, the vicious cycle that we were talking about in the introduction. How did you get through that?
Yeah, I mean, eating this way, just all those desires and cravings are gone. Like I'm an abstainer, I can't moderate, so they're just off the table. It's not even it's not even an option anymore. And I've never felt that way before. I would always fall off any diets. I would always cheat. I mean, I'm going on, I think even tomorrow might be my 8 months. And I haven't had one slip up. And if someone has a slip up, that's fine. So I'm not even saying, oh, look at me, I haven't cheated, but I haven't had the desire to cheat. Like I haven't even had, besides that 5 weeks when I was animal based, like I haven't even had one bite of my kids' fruit when I'm cutting it up for them. Like there has been nothing. So to me, like having that food freedom, which people don't understand because they're like, how do you have food freedom? You're not eating anything. I'm like, well, to me, food freedom is like the mental freedom, the mental gymnastics I would go through to not binge or binge and then restrict or try to fit into my macros or what, like just constantly obsessively thinking about food. Like now it's gone. You could have, pre-carnivore, you could have a plate of donuts sitting next to me and I would be like, oh my gosh, I want one so bad. Maybe I would eat one and maybe I would not for the rest of the day, but I would be thinking about it. Or maybe I would eat the whole thing and then it's like, okay, well, tomorrow I got to start over. So I'm going to starve myself tomorrow so it can all balance out. And now they could sit here and it would be like, I have no desire because it's more than just weight. I think with the times in the past, it's like since I was just looking for weight loss, I would have a cheat weekend or a cheat night because it's like, okay, one night's not going to affect my weight loss. Whereas now it's coming from, I'm worried about my health and my mental health. So that's why this works for me. And like, yeah, you could have that here, no desire. Like, it's just, I don't even see it. And it's not even like I would sit here and be like, oh gosh, I really want one, but I'm carnivore, so I can't, like, not even another thought. So that is freeing for me. Like, I just feel like that is like 10 pounds lifted or 100 pounds lifted. And, I feel like a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people struggle with the yo-yo and, the carb and sugar addiction. So I just hope someone listening to this, like, can know, like, it doesn't have to be that way. I did that for 25 years. It was miserable, like it can stop. It can stop. And it may sound like a drastic diet, but you know what? Like, what was more awful was feeling how I felt. I don't think it's awful to eat ribeyes every day.